Amara Chukwu had exactly 4,000 naira left in her purse, and a mother whose hospital bill was 3 times that amount. She stood outside the glass doors of Meridian Global, smoothing down a blouse she had ironed twice that morning, and whispered the same thing she whispered every day before walking into that building. Just get through today. She didn't know that in 6 hours, her boss would call her into his office and hand her the biggest
Good
and most
morning. I have a 9
impossible
o'clock.
assignment of her career. She didn't know his name yet. Everyone else did. Kairo TOLU, the voice on every radio station, the face on every billboard along the third mainland bridge, the man they called Bad Guy. Not because he was bad, but because he made looking dangerous into an art form. Women loved him. Men wanted to be him. And nobody, absolutely nobody, was supposed to be immune to him. Amara was about to become the one exception he couldn't stop thinking about. Before we go further, if you're the kind of person who believes love can survive money, pride, and everything Lagos throws in its way, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from tonight, and let's begin. Amara had worked at Meridian Global for 2 years, buried in the account management department. The kind of job where you did excellent work and nobody remembered your name for it. Her father had passed 3 years ago. Her mother's kidney condition ate through every kobo Amara made, and her younger brother's WAEC fees were due in 5 weeks. She didn't have room in her life for dreams. She only had room for solutions. So when her director, Mr. Bello, called her into his office that Tuesday afternoon, she assumed she was being queried for something. "Sit down, Amara," he said, not looking up from his laptop. "We just signed Kairo TOLU." She blinked. "The musician?" "The musician who is now the face of our biggest FMCG clients campaign of the year. 12 billion naira account. And he is." Bello exhaled through his nose. "Difficult. His team missed 2 deadlines with our last agency. If we lose this account, half this department loses their jobs, including yours." "Sir, what does that have to do with me? You're the most disciplined person on this floor. I need someone who won't be starstruck, won't be intimidated, and will get that man and his entourage to show up, sign off, and deliver. You start tomorrow." Amara didn't sleep that night. Not from excitement, from fear. She had heard the stories. Everyone in Lagos had. The next morning, she walked into Triple Dome Studios in Victoria Island, and the first thing that happened was a bouncer looked her up and down and said, "You day lost?" "I'm from Meridian Global. I have a 9 a.m. with Mr. Adigan's team." He didn't move. 9 a.m. dawn pass, Oga Day session. She waited 2 hours in a cold reception area, watching assistants and hangers-on flow in and out like she was invisible furniture. When Tolu finally emerged, tall, unfairly good-looking, sunglasses indoors, moving like the room owed him something, his manager, a sharp-tongued man named Femi, barely glanced at her. "You're the new account girl?" Femi said. "Just email the deck. We don't do meetings before noon." Amara had smiled, thanked him, and left. And in the elevator alone, she had let exactly 1 tear fall before wiping it away and telling herself, "This is a job, not a relationship. Get it done." She had no idea that the man in the sunglasses had actually watched her walk out and noticed something he couldn't explain yet. For 2 weeks, it was the same pattern. Amara would show up on time, prepared and professional. Tolu's camp would delay her, dismiss her, sometimes forget she existed entirely. She kept every meeting minute, every missed deadline, every broken promise in a neat spreadsheet, not for revenge, but because it was the only thing keeping her sane. Then came the night everything shifted. The brand's campaign shoot was in 48 hours, and Tolu still hadn't approved the final script. Amara stayed at the studio past midnight, the only Meridian staff who hadn't given up and gone home. She was reviewing shot lists alone in the lounge when Tolu walked in, exhausted, his usual swagger stripped away by fatigue. He stopped when he saw her. "You're still here?" "Someone has to make sure this doesn't collapse," Amara said, not looking up. He sat across from her, quiet for a moment. "Everyone else left hours ago. Everyone else isn't the one who loses her job if this account falls apart." Something in his face changed. He studied her, really looked at her, maybe for the first time. "You've been coming here every day for 2 weeks. My guys have been rude to you. Why haven't you complained?" "Would it have changed anything?" He didn't answer immediately. No, probably not. Then there was no point. She finally looked up at him. Can we go through the script now? Or do you want to keep asking me questions you already know the answer to? For the first time since she'd met him, Tolu laughed. A real laugh, surprised out of him. You're not scared of me at all, are you? Should I be? Everybody usually is. I don't have time to be scared of you, Mr. Adigun. I have a mother in the hospital and a brother writing Boe EC in 5 weeks. You're just a line item that needs to close successfully. She hadn't meant to say that much. She regretted it the second it left her mouth. But Tolu didn't smirk, didn't perform. He just nodded slowly, like he was recalibrating everything he thought he knew about her. Let's go through the script, he said quietly. And Amara, I'm sorry about the past 2 weeks. It was the first time he had used her name. If this moment just hit you the way it hit me writing it, drop a like right now and tell me in the comments, do you believe people can change once someone finally sees them clearly? After that night, something between them loosened. Tolu started arriving on time, for her meetings specifically. He'd ask her opinion on shots, on lyrics for the campaign jingle, on things that had nothing to do with the contract at all. Femi noticed and said nothing, but his eyes said everything. Amara found herself laughing at things she shouldn't have found funny. She found herself defending him to her own colleagues when they made jokes about artist Wahala. She found herself, one evening, sitting on the studio rooftop with him long after the meeting had ended, talking about her father, about how she used to want to study architecture before life rearranged her plans. You'd have been good at it, Tolu said. You already build things. You just build campaigns instead of buildings. That's a very smooth thing to say for someone who spent 2 weeks calling me the account girl. I never called you that. Your manager did, in front of you. You said nothing. He winced. Fair. She smiled despite herself, and he watched her smile, the way a man watches something he's afraid to want too much. It was 3 nights later, after the campaign's final approval, after months of pressure finally lifting off both their shoulders, that he walked her to her car in the studio's parking lot and said quietly, Amara, I need to tell you something, and I need you to let me finish before you say anything. Okay. I don't do this. I don't fall for people I work with. I don't fall for anyone, really. Everyone around me wants something from Kairo TOLU the artist. Nobody ever just talks to me the way you do, like I'm just a person who has to answer for himself. He exhaled. I think I'm falling in love with you, and it terrifies me, because I don't know how to be with someone who isn't impressed by any of this. Amara stood there, heart pounding, every practical instinct in her screaming that this was reckless, unprofessional, dangerous to everything she'd built. And then she said the only true thing she had left. I've been telling myself for weeks that this was just business. I don't think I believe that anymore. He kissed her there in the parking lot, under a flickering security light, and for one night, neither of them thought about contracts, or bosses, or the entire city of Lagos watching. It didn't stay secret for long. Nothing does in Lagos. A blurry photo of them under the studio security light appeared on a gossip blog by Wednesday. By Thursday, a radio OAP was joking about Tolu's new account executive who works overtime. By Friday, the comments under every post had turned personal. Gold digger, homewrecker, the girl who trapped a star while her mother was in hospital. Mr. Bello called Amara into his office the same morning the photo went viral. His face was grim. There are already whispers that Meridian assigned someone to get close to the client. Do you understand what that implies about this agency's integrity? And yours? Sir, nothing about this was planned. I don't care how it started. You're off the account effective immediately. Depending on how the next 48 hours play out, you may be off this floor entirely. Across town, Femi cornered Tolu backstage before a show. Blogs are dragging her family into it. Your fans are calling her a schemer. One bad news cycle, and brands start pulling out right before the album. Is this really worth 6 years of image? Tolu's jaw tightened. Don't talk about her like that. I'm talking about the career that pays for this studio and everything in it. That night, Tolu didn't call. Or the next. Or the one after that. Amara sat in her mother's hospital room, phone face down on the bed, while the comments kept arriving. Her mother, too weak to read them, still noticed the exhaustion on her daughter's face. Is it the boy from television? She asked softly. Amara almost laughed through the tightness in her throat. It's complicated, Mama. Love was always complicated for people who have something to lose, her mother said. The question is whether it's still worth it. 4 days of silence nearly convinced Amara the answer was no. She opened a resignation draft on her laptop more than once. She never sent it. Instead, on the 5th night, there was a knock on her mother's hospital room door. It was Tolu. No entourage, no sunglasses, no team trailing behind him. Just him, visibly exhausted, holding nothing but his phone. You shouldn't be here, Amara said. The press? I don't care about the press anymore. He stepped closer. I spent 4 days letting Femi convince me that protecting my image mattered more than protecting you. I'm done doing that. I already posted something. It's live right now. She pulled out her phone with shaking hands. His statement was simple, no PR polish to it. Amara didn't chase an opportunity. She did her job better than anyone I've worked with, and somewhere in that, I fell for a woman who never once cared about who I am on stage. If people can't accept that, that's a them problem, not an us problem. Tolu, your career? Will survive. Careers survive things like this all the time. I don't know if I'd survive losing you because I was too scared to say something true in public. He took her hand. I should have called you 4 days ago. I'm sorry. I let noise drown out the one thing that's actually been real in my life this year. Amara's mother, watching quietly from the hospital bed, smiled the way mothers do when they already know the answer before their daughter says it out loud. I'm scared too, Amara admitted, of losing my job, my name, everything I've built to keep my family standing. Then we figure it out together. That's the whole point. If a story is making you feel something right now, this is the moment to hit subscribe. Because stories like this, about choosing love, even when the whole world is watching, are exactly why we're here. Bello, to Amara's surprise, didn't fire her. The brand's campaign had performed better than any Meridian account that year, and results, in the end, spoke louder than blog gossip. She was quietly moved to a new account, out of the spotlight, exactly the way she wanted it. Femi never fully warmed to Amara, but he stopped fighting it once he saw Tolu's music. The album that came out 3 months later carried something it never had before. People said his sound had grown up. Only a few people knew why. Amara's brother wrote his WAEC. Her mother's treatment continued, steadier now, with less fear attached to every hospital bill. And on a quiet Sunday evening, on that same studio rooftop where he first told her the truth, Tolu didn't propose with cameras or a grand stunt for the internet. He simply held her hand and said, I don't need Lagos to know this is real. I just need you to know it. Amara smiled, the same smile that had once made a nervous, arrogant artist forget every line he'd rehearsed. I already knew, she said. I think I knew before you did. Some love stories start with fireworks. Theirs started with two exhausted people, alone in a cold studio lounge, choosing honesty over performance. And somehow, that turned out to be enough. If this story meant something to you, subscribe, share it with someone who still believes in real love, and tell me in the comments, what's the biggest lesson you're taking?